All right, welcome to The Explainer. So, Sunrisers Hyderabad, they're walking into the IPL 2026 auction with a ton of cash and a team that, frankly, just completely fell apart. Today, we're going to break down their high-stakes plan to fix it all.
First, let's just set the stage here, because the contrast is, wow, it's staggering. In 2024, SRH were the team nobody wanted to play, an absolute juggernaut that just bulldozed their way to the final. You fast forward just 1 year, and boom, a total collapse. 7th place, a season you just want to forget, and a team that looked completely lost.
So, how did it all go so wrong, right? That's the million-dollar question facing the team as they head into this auction, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack today. Okay, let's get into it.
You know, this puts the team at a real crossroads. This isn't just any old auction, it's a huge test of their entire strategy. And what happens here will tell us if 2025 was just a blip, or maybe the start of something worse.
And look, they've got the firepower to make some serious moves. With a massive purse of over 25 crore and 10 slots to fill, they have all the tools they need to fix the ship. But with that kind of money comes a ton of pressure to get it right.
Okay, so to really get what they're trying to do in this auction, we've got to do a little autopsy on 2025. What went wrong? Where did the cracks in the foundation really show up?
Let's start with the big one, the number that just jumps off the page. Their bowling was, and I'm not exaggerating here, a total catastrophe. They were leaking runs at a rate that's just impossible to sustain, ending up with the worst team economy in the whole league. You just can't win cricket games bleeding runs like that. And what this chart really shows you, it just puts the scale of the problem into perspective. This wasn't them being a little bit off the pace. No, they were miles behind everyone else. That huge gap you see right there, that's the difference between competing and not even being in the game.
And look, this wasn't about one guy having a bad year. The entire bowling structure was just fundamentally broken. They had no one to take wickets up front, they had no real plan at the death, and their spinners just weren't a threat. That infamous game against KKR, where they gave up 78 in the last 5 overs, I mean, that pretty much summed up their entire season, right? Just too fragile.
But hey, the story with the bat wasn't much better. It was just as worrying. Their whole game plan was built on this super aggressive, high-risk strategy, and in 2025, it was all risk and very little reward.
It was simple, really. If Travis Head or Heinrich Klaassen didn't go ballistic at the top, the team had no plan B, like zero. There was no one to steady the ship in the middle, no proven finisher, and to make it worse, they kept getting bogged down on their own slow home pitches. They just lacked adaptability. They were a one-trick pony, and everyone figured out the trick.
So, with all those problems laid bare, let's look at how SRH is planning their comeback. And it all started with some really sharp decisions about who stays and who goes.
And this table, it tells you everything you need to know about their new philosophy. They kept that world-class core, Cummins, Head, Klaassen, but they were ruthless about cutting ties with players who weren't delivering. Moving on from Shami, Zampa, and Chahar freed up a huge amount of cash and sent a clear message. Average isn't good enough anymore.
All right, this brings us to the main event, the auction hit list. SRH knows exactly what they need, and with the money they're carrying, there are zero excuses. They just can't afford to miss their targets this time.
Really, their whole auction strategy boils down to these 3 non-negotiables. This isn't them just throwing money around, it's a very specific surgical plan to fix their biggest holes. You can think of it as their checklist for success.
Okay, priority number 1, and this is the big one. They have to fix that spin department. They don't just need another spinner. They need a genuine, bona fide game changer. And it seems like they have one guy locked in their sights.
Look, Ravi Bishnoi isn't just an option. For them, he is the solution. A proven match winner, great IPL record. This is the kind of player who can single-handedly turn your biggest weakness into a massive strength. But a player like that, he's not going to come cheap. But here's the catch. They're not the only team that knows how good this guy is. Getting him is going to be an absolute dogfight. It's going to test their budget, their nerve, everything. Winning this bidding war is probably their first and biggest test of the auction.
Now for the pace department, they need experience and, more importantly, control at the death. The smart play here isn't to chase another superstar, but to get a proven specialist. We're talking guys like Spencer Johnson, Lungi Ngidi, or maybe even bringing Fazal Haq Farooqi back. These players give you specific skills without costing you your entire purse.
And finally, that fragile middle order. They need someone who can plug that gap, a player who can do a bit of everything. Hit the ball a long way and chip in with the ball. And yeah, there's one name that just screams perfect fit.
And that's where a guy like Liam Livingstone comes in. I mean, he feels like he was built in a lab for what SRH needs right now. He's got that explosive finishing power, he gives you handy overs with both off-spin and leg spin, and he should come at a price that fits perfectly into their budget. He's not just a good player, he's the right player.
And this is how the money could break down. You can see the whole strategy right here. It's controlled aggression. Go big on the main target, that spinner, but be smart enough to leave plenty in the pot to build out the rest of the team with real depth. That's the lesson from 2025.
So it all comes down to this, doesn't it? Success for the Sunrisers comes down to executing this very clear, very logical plan. They've got a solid plan, but a plan is just a plan until you actually pull it off.
Bottom line is this: if they can walk away from the auction having ticked these 3 boxes, they're right back in the conversation for 2026. They'll be contenders again. And for a team that fell so hard, so fast, failure just isn't an option. So the plan's there, the money's there, the needs are crystal clear. The only question left is, can they execute under pressure and finally prove that their 2025 collapse was just a lesson learned and not the beginning of a painful new pattern?